The Haunted Mansion is one of Disney's most beloved attractions, but its journey from idea to reality was a long and twisting one. This ride took decades of planning, countless revisions, and even disagreements among Imagineers before it became the spooky and fun classic we know today. Hey everyone, I'm Sam with Mickey on Main Street, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the full history of the Haunted Mansion, where the idea came from, how it evolved, and the differences between versions of the ride, and even some of the most recent updates that continue to shape this iconic attraction. The story of the Haunted Mansion begins all the way back in the early 1950s, even before Disneyland opened. Walt Disney always wanted a haunted house for his park. Early concept sketches showed a creepy, rundown manor sitting on a hill near Main Street, something that looked both mysterious and out of place. Imagineer Ken Anderson was one of the first to really dig into the concept. He worked on story ideas that drew from colonial ghost stories and creepy walkthrough experiences. At one point, there was even an idea for something called the Museum of Weird, which would have been filled with strange artifacts, illusions, and unusual effects. For a while, the plan was for guests to enter the mansion in small groups and be guided through the house by live cast members playing butlers or maids. But as the development continued, the Imagineers couldn't agree on what the Haunted Mansion should actually feel like. Mark Davis wanted the mansion to be fun and filled with whimsical gags like ghosts having tea or playing tricks on guests. Claude Coates, on the other hand, imagined it as a mysterious and genuinely frightening with eerie hallways and unsettling scenes. Instead of choosing one approach over the other, Disney decided to combine them. It begins with dark, creepy tension, but gradually shifts into humor and lighthearted chaos by the time you reach the graveyard scene. This is so that kids leave the ride and they're not scared. Another challenge was figuring out how to actually move guests through the attraction. A walk-through haunted house would have been too slow, and Disneyland needed something with higher capacity. The solution came with the Omni Mover system, which fans know today as the Doom Buggies. These vehicles move continuously, which means thousands of people can ride each hour without major slowdowns. The design also gives Imagineers complete control over what guests see. Each buggy can rotate and face exactly where they want you to look, hiding the areas you're not supposed to see and focusing your attention on the illusions. This technology was a breakthrough that made the Haunted Mansion possible. After years of delays and changes, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion finally opened on August 9th, 1969, in New Orleans Square. The outside of the building looked like a beautiful southern estate, but the inside was a world of illusions, effects, and ghostly tricks. The ride was an immediate success. Guests lined up for hours, and the Haunted Mansion quickly became a Disneyland icon. 2 years later, when Walt Disney World opened in Florida in 1971, it featured its own version of the Haunted Mansion. This one is located in Liberty Square, and the exterior looks completely different. Instead of a white southern mansion, the Magic Kingdom's version is a Gothic revival building, designed to fit the colonial theme of Liberty Square. Inside, the ride is very similar, but the layout and some of the details are different. The mansion's success didn't stop there. In 1983, Tokyo Disneyland opened its own Haunted Mansion, which closely followed the design of the Magic Kingdom's version. In 1992, Disneyland Paris introduced Phantom Manor. This attraction kept the core idea of a haunted house but took a much darker and more dramatic approach. Phantom Manor tells the story of Melanie Ravenswood, a bride abandoned on her wedding day, and it ties directly into the backstory of Frontierland's Thunder Mesa. In 2013, Hong Kong Disneyland opened Mystic Manor. Unlike the other mansions, Mystic Manor doesn't use ghosts at all, since ghost stories are treated very differently in Chinese culture. Instead, it tells the story of Lord Henry Mystic and his mischievous monkey Albert, who unleashes enchanted artifacts inside a magical manor. Of course, the Haunted Mansion wouldn't be the same without its unforgettable characters. The ghost host who guides you through the ride was voiced by Paul Frees, one of the most famous voice actors of his time. He also provided voices for Pirates of the Caribbean, the Pillsbury Doughboy, and even Boris Badenoch in the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Madame Leota, the medium whose head floats inside a crystal ball during the seance scene, is a combination of two talents. The face you see belongs to Imagineer Leota Toombs, while the voice was provided by Eleanor Audley, who also famously voiced Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty and Lady Tremaine in Cinderella. At the very end of the ride, a small ghostly figure known as Little Leota tells guests to hurry back. That character was actually voiced by Leota Toombs herself. The mansion's music also deserves special mention. The unforgettable theme Grim Grinning Ghost was composed by Buddy Baker with lyrics by Ex Atencio. The song plays in different variations throughout the ride, sometimes eerie, sometimes playful, and it ties the whole attraction together, from the organ in the ballroom to the rowdy singing ghosts in the graveyard. Not everything in the Haunted Mansion worked as planned. One of the most famous examples is the Hatbox Ghost. When the ride first opened at Disneyland in 1969, there was a character in the attic whose head would vanish from his shoulders and reappear inside the hatbox he carried. But the illusion didn't work very well under real ride conditions, and the Hatbox Ghost was removed shortly after opening. For decades, fans debated whether he had ever really been there at all. He became something of a legend among Disney fans. Then, in 2015, the Hatbox Ghost finally returned to Disneyland with modern technology that made the effect work exactly as intended. And on November 30th, 2023, the Hatbox Ghost officially made his debut in Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion. In Florida, though, his placement is different. Instead of being on the attic balcony like in Disneyland, he appears near the endless hallway scene. The Hatbox Ghost is now haunting both coasts. More recently, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion saw another major update. In 2024, the attic bride scene was reimagined. For years, the bride character was known as Constance Hatchaway, or the Hatchet Bride, because she carried a hatchet and was portrayed as a ghostly murderer. But in the refurbishment, her character shifted back to something closer to the original concept. Now she carries a candelabra, and her chest glows with a softly beating red heart. This is a direct nod to the mansion's original beating heart bride. The change makes her feel more mysterious and tragic rather than violent. The Haunted Mansion has also inspired overlays, spin-offs, and adaptations. The Nightmare Before Christmas overlay at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion first debuted on October 3rd, 2001, called the Haunted Mansion Holiday. From Halloween through Christmas, Jack Skellington and his friends take over the attraction with brand new music, decorations, and effects. The mansion has also inspired comic books, merchandise, video games, and 2 different feature films. From its earliest sketches to the version found around the world today, the Haunted Mansion is a perfect example of Disney Imagineering. It blends art, technology, music, and story into an attraction that is spooky, funny, and endlessly fascinating. More than 50 years later, it remains one of Disney's most iconic rides, and as the ghost host might say, there's always room for one more happy haunt. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.